Hey there, drowsy historian here. Tonight we're heading back to medieval England, a place where medicine was mostly guesswork, hygiene was a rumour, and death came in a variety of flavours. But this time, you don't get to die in battle or waste away from plague. No, tonight you're getting the deluxe package, Rabies. It starts with a bite, maybe a stray dog, maybe a wolf. It doesn't matter. What matters is that your fate is sealed the moment its teeth sink in. And the rest of your story is a slow-motion horror show no one knows how to stop. Before we dive into your inevitable, frothing demise, take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you enjoy drifting off to the sound of historical agony wrapped in soft narration. Drop a comment with where you're listening from and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see who's listening from around the world. Now lie back, close your eyes, and prepare to relive one of the worst deaths the Middle Ages had to offer. Because tonight, you're not just tired, you're terminal. You're a medieval peasant, which means your life was already pretty terrible before the dog showed up. You live in a one-room hut that smells like damp straw, old turnips, and whoever sneezed in it last. You work from dawn to dusk and still somehow owe half your grain to a man who wears shoes and thinks bathing once a year makes him noble. You haven't tasted sugar, you've never seen a map, and you'll probably die before anyone thinks to invent soap that doesn't burn. But today isn't just about the slow grind of peasant misery. Today, the universe has decided to make things interesting. In the same way, a tornado makes things interesting when you've just built a house out of twigs. Because out of the woods comes a dog. At least you think it's a dog. It could also be a sick wolf, a cursed spirit, or the physical embodiment of your bad luck. It's thin, ragged, and foaming around the mouth, like someone tried to wash it with ale and failed. You barely see it before it's on you. The bite is fast and stupid, like everything else in your life. You're just trying to carry a bundle of firewood back to the cottage, and suddenly there's fur, teeth, and pain. It clamps onto your forearm, a full grinding bite that tears through skin and fat with a satisfying crunch. You scream, not out of fear, but because it really, really hurts. The dog doesn't stay. It runs off, staggering into the trees, possibly to bite someone else. You're left alone in the clearing, bleeding, bewildered, and wondering whether that was an omen or just your daily helping of divine indifference. You walk home cradling your arm like a dead bird. The wound is deep and oozing, already dark around the edges. It's not the worst injury you've had, but something about it feels wrong. Not just the pain, there's a kind of heat to it, like the bite itself is angry. Still, you've got no one to complain to. You're not important enough to summon a healer, and even if you were, the local medical expert is a woman who once tried to cure a cough with boiled nettles and beeswax. Your best bet is water. Of course, water is a relative concept. You don't have a clean stream or a nice carved basin. You have a pond, a shared, cloudy, frog-infested pond that also doubles as a washing station, drinking source, and part-time toilet for a very confused goat. Still, it's wet, and in the medieval world, that counts as sterile. You dunk your arm, grit your teeth, and try to clean out the wound with whatever passes for courage in a society that still believes sneezing might be a sign of demonic possession. You wrap your arm in a strip of cloth torn from your shirt, which was already more whole than garment. The bleeding slows, the pain does not. You don't tell anyone what happened, partly because they'll think you were cursed, and partly because they might not care. One less mouth to feed, one less back to break in the fields. Life is transactional here, and yours is not a high-value asset. Still, you go back to your routine. You chop wood, you dig dirt, you shovel manure, and try not to think about how much of it ends up in your food. The bite scabs over, then festers. It swells, turns reddish-black, starts to stink like spoiled meat. You pretend not to notice. Pain is just another background noise in your world, like wind or hunger or distant screams. You've got things to do. Days pass, maybe a week, maybe two. Time blurs when your calendar is just sick days and not dead yet. The wound doesn't heal, it pulses. It itches deep beneath the skin in a way that makes you want to scratch the bone itself. You try not to let on. A visible wound is one thing. A strange wound, a cursed one, is something else entirely. People in the village are already suspicious. You don't want to give them a reason to treat you like a danger or, worse, an omen. Because while no one in your village knows what rabies is, they all know what madness looks like. They've seen it before. A man bitten by a dog who started growling at his children. A woman who refused to drink, who screamed at the moon, who tore her fingernails out one by one before disappearing into the woods. People whisper. They blame witches, demons, bad luck, or divine punishment. No one blames viruses. Germ theory is several centuries and one plague away. You don't feel mad yet, just tired. The arm still hurts, but not in a screaming, urgent way. More like a background ache that never leaves, like the dull pressure of dread in your chest. You wonder if the dog was real, or if it was something else. A spirit, a test. You've seen animals lose their minds before, usually right before someone kills them. You tell yourself you're imagining it, that you're fine, that you'll heal, because the alternative is too horrible to name and too slow to stop. The villagers start to notice you rubbing your arm, the way you wince when it's touched. You try to laugh it off. You tell them the dog was small, barely a nip. You say it's healing, even as the pus crusts over the bandage, and you feel cold in your bones. Someone offers a prayer. Someone else offers garlic. You take both. Neither helps. At night, the dreams begin. You're running through the woods, your mouth full of fur, you taste blood. You wake up snarling into your pillow, sweating like you've run 10 miles. You blame the fever. You blame the weather. You blame anything but the truth that's slowly winding its way through your spine. The bite is no longer the worst part. It's just the beginning. And it's far too late to stop what's coming next. As your fate quietly incubates beneath the skin of your rotting arm, let's take a moment to zoom out. You deserve to know what's happening to you, even if no one in your time period has the vocabulary to explain it. You think you've been cursed. The village priest thinks you're being punished. The old woman who sells onion poultices and beetle husks thinks a ghost entered your bloodstream through the dog's teeth. All of these are wrong, but also, in a roundabout way, not entirely off the mark. What's actually happening is this. You've been infected with rabies, a virus, a microscopic hitchhiker that doesn't care about your soul, your sins, or your spot on the feudal ladder. It has one purpose: replication. It enters your body through the bite, hitches a ride on your nerves, and slowly, very slowly, travels to your brain. It doesn't rush. It doesn't need to. It's patient. And unlike you, it knows exactly what it's doing. Rabies is one of the oldest known diseases in human history. It's been around since before writing, before cities, before anyone thought to put sewage somewhere other than the street. The ancient Mesopotamians wrote about it. The Greeks described it. The Romans feared it. And by the Middle Ages, everyone recognized the signs. But no one understood the cause. People saw the symptoms and filled in the blanks with whatever made the most sense to them at the time. Demons, divine wrath, moon magic, or simply the universe's continued and enthusiastic hatred of mankind. But rabies isn't mystical. It's just merciless. Once it enters your system, it travels along your peripheral nervous system, the long branching network of nerves that serve as your body's internal wiring. Most viruses spread through the blood. Rabies doesn't bother. It prefers the scenic route, traveling inch by inch, hiding from your immune system the entire way. That's why it takes so long to show symptoms. You might feel fine for weeks, even months. You'll think you're in the clear, that the danger passed. And then, all at once, it hits. And when it hits, it doesn't tap you on the shoulder. It kicks in the door and starts breaking furniture. The first written records of rabies treatments date back thousands of years, and none of them work. The Babylonians recommended incantations. The Greeks tried cauterization. In medieval Europe, they might tie a rabid dog's hair around the wound, a A brilliant move if your goal is make it worse. Some healers prescribed mercury, arsenic, or crushed emeralds. Others preferred bleeding you dry, as if subtracting ounces of your blood could flush out a microscopic assassin already halfway to your brain. Spoiler, it can't. Even if you'd lived in the modern world, your chances wouldn't be great once symptoms appear. Rabies is one of the deadliest viruses on the planet. Without vaccination or post-exposure treatment, which didn't exist for you and won't for several hundred years, the fatality rate is essentially 100%. Once you're symptomatic, you're done. Game over. Do not pass go. Do not collect penicillin. There are very, very few recorded survivors. You will not be one of them. Still, people in your time know enough to be afraid. They don't know the word virus, but they know the stories. They've seen what happens when someone gets bitten. Not all bites lead to madness, but the ones that do are unforgettable. A neighbor who started barking at the moon. A child who stopped drinking water, then stopped speaking, then stopped breathing. A man who bit through his own tongue, trying to scream. These stories spread, twisted by superstition, sharpened by fear. And now, you're the main character in one of them. In modern terms, rabies is classified as a zoonotic disease, meaning it passes from animals to humans. Dogs, foxes, bats, raccoons, wolves. If it has teeth and likes to nibble, it can carry rabies. In your era, dogs are the main culprits. There are a lot of them, and not many are vaccinated, or fed, or kept on leashes. They wander from village to village, scavenging, snarling, occasionally spreading death with a single bite. They're not evil, they're infected. But that's a hard distinction to make when one of them is chewing on your forearm. One of the most horrifying aspects of rabies, and there are many, is its ability to alter behavior. The virus doesn't just damage your brain, it rewires it, it turns you into a delivery system. Animals become aggressive, they bite more. They foam at the mouth because the virus paralyzes the muscles involved in swallowing. The goal is to get more saliva, more virus, into more hosts. Rabies is efficient, terrifyingly so. It's not just killing you, it's using you. In humans, the process is slower, but equally grim. The incubation period can range from a few weeks to over a year, depending on how far the bite was from your brain. The closer it is, the faster it spreads. Once symptoms start, it's usually over within a week. The disease has two main forms: furious rabies, where the victim becomes agitated, hallucinating, and violently afraid of water, and paralytic rabies, where they simply waste away in quiet, twitching misery. Both forms end in death. Only the aesthetics differ. You're headed for the furious kind. There's no poetry in it, just thrashing limbs, clenched jaws, panicked gasps, and your own mind disintegrating one thought at a time. You won't get to make peace with your gods or whisper final words to a loved one. You'll be too busy fighting your own saliva. None of this will be explained to you, of course. The people around you don't know what's happening. They'll try prayers, herbal pastes, chants, and maybe tying a dead bird around your neck if things get desperate. Your suffering will be interpreted as possession or punishment or madness. They'll fear you. They'll pity you. Some will want to help. Others will want to bury you early, just in case. But none of them will understand that what's killing you is invisible, microscopic, and unimaginably old. By now, the virus is traveling along your nerves like a courier on a grim little road trip. It's heading north. Quiet, determined, unstoppable. Your symptoms haven't started yet, not really, but they will, soon. And when they do, no amount of holy water or crushed emeralds will make a difference. You've been bitten by history's cruelest punchline, and the joke hasn't even landed yet. You've reached the part of your journey where people start pretending they can help. This is not medicine in the modern sense. No sterile gauze, no syringes, no antiseptic. No one's wearing gloves, no one's washed their hands. In fact, no one's entirely sure how illness even works. The leading theories include imbalanced humours, divine punishment, and sometimes, just to keep things fresh, demonic bees. Still, people mean well. You've been looking pale. Your arm smells like sour cheese. You've had nightmares? You've snapped at a few neighbours, and yesterday you tried to drink from the trough and recoiled like it bit you. It's time to call the healer, or failing that, the person who most recently survived the plague and now sells dubious ointments from a box made of bones. She arrives at your door in the morning, already muttering. She smells like mildew and crushed garlic, which is somehow reassuring. Her diagnosis is immediate and mostly wrong. Bad blood, she says, possibly a hex. Maybe you stepped on a fairy ring, or maybe you angered the dog god. You try to explain that you were just bitten by an animal. She nods as if you've confirmed her suspicions. You've been chosen, she whispers, like that's a comforting thought. The treatment begins. First, the wound is reopened, with a knife that might have last been used to scrape mould off bread. Then comes the burning, a hot iron from the fire pressed directly into your infected arm. The idea is to drive out the poison. In reality, it's just adding second-degree burns to an already festering bite. You scream. She hums a lullaby. The neighbours peek through the shutters and silently update their mental will. If I get sick, I'll just die. No treatment. Next comes the poultice. It's a thick, sticky mixture of herbs, animal fat, and something that smells suspiciously like cow dung. This is smeared over your burn wound bite with ceremonial reverence. She tells you not to remove it until the next full moon, unless the pus starts to bubble through the cloth. In which case, you should recite the Lord's Prayer backwards while standing on a rock, preferably barefoot. You're then bled. Not because it makes sense, but because that's what you do. Bleeding is the medieval cure-all. Fever? Bleed. Chest pain? Bleed. Warts? Definitely bleed. The logic is that sickness comes from imbalanced humours. Blood, phlegm, black bile, and yellow bile. Too much of any of them, and your body starts acting strange. Solution? Drain some blood. The healer slices your arm again and collects a few ounces in a wooden bowl. You feel dizzy and faint, which she interprets as progress. To finish, she offers you charms. One is a string of knotted horsehair meant to be worn around your neck. Another is a pouch of dried herbs and chicken feathers, tied to your belt. Finally, she spits into your palm for protection and tells you to bury a live toad in your yard at midnight while chanting something in a language no one has spoken for at least 2 centuries. You don't know what any of this means, neither does she, but it's important to do something. The village priest gets involved the next day. He's concerned. Not necessarily about your health, but about your soul. Word has spread that you've been acting strangely, avoiding water, flinching at noises, muttering in your sleep. These are signs, he says, not of illness, but of spiritual weakness, maybe even possession. He recommends a public blessing, followed by fasting, confession, and an aggressive schedule of prayer. You nod politely as your muscles twitch and your stomach coils like a dying eel. After the priest leaves, your neighbour suggests something even more helpful, wearing a wolf's tooth. Apparently, it wards off madness. You don't ask how she acquired a wolf's tooth. You just hang it around your neck and try not to sob. Someone else suggests sleeping with garlic under your tongue. Another insists you swallow a handful of ashes from a burned dog. A few argue over whether you should be locked in a barn for safety. You're not consulted in the decision-making process. Despite all of this, or perhaps because of it, you are not getting better. The wound is angry. Your skin feels too tight. You sweat in your sleep and wake up shivering. Your throat feels dry, scratchy, as though something is crawling up from the inside. You avoid water, not because you're superstitious, but because the thought of swallowing makes your stomach rebel. You try to explain this. No one listens. Instead, they offer you a leech. Yes, a leech. Slippery, blood-sucking, and generally unhelpful. The healer places it near the wound, murmurs a prayer, and tells you not to look directly at it, lest it absorb your soul. The leech attaches itself with disgusting enthusiasm. You lie back and wonder what level of cosmic insult you must have committed to deserve this moment. Still, no one calls it rabies. The word exists in some scholarly texts, sure, but it's not in common use. To the people around you, this is mad dog sickness or biting fever, or sometimes just the curse. Everyone has a story. They know someone who knew someone whose cousin was bitten and went mad. They whisper about men who ran naked through the fields, snarling, women who drowned in wells trying to quench thirst they couldn't explain, children who died biting their own arms. The stories are plentiful, if vague. No one has survived to clarify the details. You cling to the hope that these stories are exaggerations, that you've just got a bad infection, that the poultice, the toad burial, the wolf tooth, something, will work. But deep down, beneath the fever and the denial, you know better. You've seen it in the eyes of the healer, the way she avoids your gaze now, the way the priest prayed with a little more urgency, the way your neighbours keep their distance, even as they offer more remedies. You're not being treated, you're being managed, contained, made ready for what comes next, because no one can save you, but they'd like you to die quietly. Days pass, then weeks. You don't die. At first, this feels like a win. You were expecting to drop dead within a few days of the bite, foaming at the mouth and screaming at birds. But you're still here, walking, eating, working. Well, sort of working. Your arm still isn't right. It aches when you lift anything heavier than a broom. The wound itself looks better. The scab hardened, the pus dried up. But there's a strange pulling sensation underneath the skin, like someone's tied a string from your elbow to your spine and is slowly reeling it in. Still, you take it as a good sign. Your fever broke. You're not hallucinating. No one's had to tie you to a bedpost yet. The healer even nodded approvingly when she passed your hut the other day. Told you the toad burial would work, she muttered, as if solving your incurable viral infection was a matter of pest control and good posture. You didn't correct her. Let her take the credit. If the villagers think you're recovering, maybe they'll stop leaving salted onions at your door like it's an offering to the gods of bodily fluids. After a while, you stop mentioning the bite altogether. It's easier, less awkward. People don't like to be reminded that you were once a walking omen. It's bad luck to talk about illness in this world, especially the slow creeping kind. They prefer their deaths quick and visible, an axe, a fall, a plague that turns your skin black in a matter of hours. Not this slow-motion horror that lives under the surface, biding its time. You start to believe it yourself. Maybe the stories were wrong. Maybe it was just a bite. Not every dog is cursed. Not every fever is fatal. And yet, you can't quite shake the feeling that something's coming. You startle more easily. Your dreams are vivid, too vivid. You wake up drenched in sweat, heart racing, convinced you've heard something growling outside your door. You try to laugh it off. People have nightmares. You've been through a lot. It's probably just nerves. You tell yourself this over and over until it almost feels true. But nerves don't twitch like this. They don't make your hands cramp or your fingers curl involuntarily. You drop things more often. You find yourself staring into space, forgetting what you were doing. Your arm, the bitten one, sometimes goes numb for a few seconds, then tingles back to life, like it's been asleep too long. You convince yourself it's just the aftermath of the burn, or the bleeding, or the leech. Your body's confused, that's all. It'll sort itself out. The days blur. You lose track of how long it's been since the bite. 6 weeks, 10, longer. The bite mark is almost invisible now. Just a faint scar surrounded by old scabs and new anxiety. You don't feel sick exactly, but you don't feel well either. There's a kind of tension under your skin, like a thunderstorm you can feel in your bones. You don't tell anyone. What would you even say? I think I may be dying, but very slowly and in a way that's hard to describe. Some days you feel fine. Other days, you feel like you're wearing your own body wrong. Your joints creak, your neck aches, you flinch at loud noises and feel vaguely nauseous all the time. You can't seem to sit still for more than a few minutes, but you're exhausted anyway. It's a deeply unhelpful combination. jittery and weary, like you drank a bucket of mead and forgot to sleep. No one notices the changes, or if they do, they don't mention them. People have other things to worry about. It's harvest season, or tax season, or whatever excuse the local lord uses to confiscate your food this time of year. The priest has stopped checking in. The healer moved on to a more profitable patient, a baron's daughter, with suspicious boils and a dramatic flair for fainting. Your yesterday's bad omen. Forgotten, invisible, quietly unraveling. And that's exactly how Rabies likes it. Because this is its specialty, the lull, the delay, the slow burn that gives you time to lower your guard. Most diseases hit you hard and fast. They knock you down, burn you up, or bleed you out. Rabies doesn't need to rush. It's already inside, travelling inch by inch along your nervous system, like a letter with a long delivery route, addressed directly to your brain. It avoids the bloodstream, avoids detection, avoids the things your body might use to fight it off. It's stealthy, elegant, patient. By the time it gets where it's going, you've already convinced yourself it left. You've survived. You beat the odds. You're one of the lucky ones. And then the second act begins. It starts so subtly you almost miss it. A twinge in your jaw, a moment of dizziness, a strange taste in your mouth, like metal and ashes. Your throat feels tight, not sore exactly, just wrong. You drink water and gag. Try again. Gag harder. The feeling is electric, like your muscles are rebelling against the idea of swallowing. You cough until your ribs ache. The water spills down your shirt. You try to laugh, you fail. That night, your dreams return, worse than before. You're running again, barefoot through the woods, your hands covered in fur. You hear growling and realize it's coming from your own throat. You wake up gasping, eyes wide, heart racing like you've been chased. You're sweating through your blanket. Your skin feels like it's crawling, or maybe something under your skin is crawling. You lie there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, and you know, it's here. The virus has reached its destination, and it has no intention of letting you go quietly. It starts in your back, a dull ache, right between the shoulders, like you've been carrying too much firewood or slept on a stone. Nothing unusual, really. You've lived with worse. Pain is just part of the background noise in your life, like wind through the thatch or the occasional distant scream from the next village over. But this feels different. Not sharp, not unbearable, just persistent, like your spine is humming a note only you can hear. Then comes the fever. It creeps in during the night, slow and sticky. You wake up in a sweat, the kind that soaks through your tunic and chills your skin as soon as the wind slips in through the cracks in your wall. Your head pulses, your eyes feel too big for your skull. You try to stand, and your knees don't cooperate. You sit back down and blame the weather. It's always the weather. Damp air, bad air, cursed air. It's the medieval go-to for anything unpleasant that happens to your body. But deep down, you know this isn't the weather. The bite mark, the one that healed weeks ago, starts to itch. Not on the surface, deeper, like the wound is waking up, like the nerves underneath your skin are remembering something they were supposed to forget. You scratch until the skin breaks again. It doesn't bleed much, but the edges look angrier than before, as if the scar itself is offended by your optimism. You wrap it again. You mutter a prayer. You try not to panic. You've been tired lately. That's nothing new. But now it's not just fatigue. It's a kind of heaviness, like gravity has gotten personal. Your limbs feel thick. Your thoughts feel slow. But then, paradoxically, you also can't sit still. You fidget constantly. Rub your hands together. Pick at your nails. Tap your foot. Your body doesn't seem to know whether it wants to collapse or sprint. It just wants out. Of the chair. Of the room. Of itself. And then one night, you can't sleep at all. You lie there with your eyes open, staring into the dark. The blanket scratches your skin. The straw pokes your back. Every sound feels like a threat. The hoot of an owl. A creak of wood. Your own breath. It's too loud. Everything is too loud. Your heart is hammering like you're running for your life, but you haven't moved. You try to tell yourself it's nothing, just nerves. Just a bad dream you haven't woken from. But you're very much awake, and it's not getting better. You try to work the next day, but your tools feel wrong in your hands, heavy, slippery, like they're part of someone else's job. You swing the axe once and nearly drop it. Someone laughs. You pretend to laugh too. You're good at pretending now. No one notices the tremor in your fingers. No one sees how your eyes dart too quickly, how your breath shortens when someone walks too close. They don't notice because they don't want to. People don't like to watch other people unravel. Your thoughts start looping. You keep remembering the bite, not just the pain, but the sound, the wet crunch, the dog's eyes. Were they red? You can't remember. You start to think about it constantly. You try not to, but the memory keeps coming back, clearer, sharper, wronger than before. You can't explain it. The more you think about it, the more it doesn't feel like a memory anymore. It feels like a message, like the virus is reminding you that it's still here. You start flinching at shadows, at sudden movements, at nothing. You're jumpy in a way you've never been before. You used to be calm, stoic, unflappable, even when the barn caught fire or your cousin fell into the pig pen and had to be pulled out by his ankles. But now your nerves are shot. You twitch at whispers. You recoil from water. Not dramatically, not yet. Just a small hesitation. A pause before the cup touches your lips. A tightening in your throat, like something is watching. You tell yourself it's probably just guilt. Maybe you didn't bury the toad deep enough. Maybe the wolf tooth fell off during a storm and cursed you twice over. Maybe this is what regret feels like. You try the healer again, but she won't come. She says she's busy. You know what that means? She thinks you're past help. The priest offers to pray for your soul, but he stands a full 3 paces away when he says it. You sit by the fire that night, shaking, not from cold or the fire's warm, even generous, but from something else. Your hands won't stay still. Your breath won't slow down. You stare into the flames and feel like they're staring back. Your skin crawls. Your muscles twitch. You can't explain why, but you want to run. To sprint into the woods and keep running until your legs give out. But you stay. Because you don't know where else to go. Because you're not sure your legs would cooperate anyway. And then just as suddenly as it started, the fever breaks. You sweat through your clothes, then wake up cold and drenched. You feel hollowed out, scraped clean. The pain in your back eases, your thoughts slow. For a moment, just one, you think maybe it's past. Maybe that was the worst of it. Maybe the burning, the bleeding, the charms actually worked. You eat some bread. You drink a little water, though your throat still tightens. You almost believe you're going to live. But then your hand spasms. Just once, a small involuntary clench. You shake it out, ignore it. Minutes later, it happens again. Your leg twitches, your jaw clenches, the ache in your spine returns, and you realize with a slow, awful clarity that this wasn't the peak, it was just the beginning. Your body is no longer your own. It's a puppet, and something else is learning to pull the strings. You try to drink. That's all. Just lift the cup, tilt it, let the water touch your lips. But the moment it nears your mouth, your body rebels. Your throat tightens, your jaw clamps, your chest spasms as though you've inhaled smoke. The water isn't hot, it isn't poisoned, but your body acts like it is, like it's been trained to panic at the mere thought of swallowing. You cough, gag, and spill half the contents down your tunic. You try again. Same result. A sputtering, gasping refusal from muscles that used to follow orders. You sit there in stunned silence. You've had illnesses before, fevers, flus, the usual parade of medieval plagues. But none of them have made you afraid of water. This is different. This is primal. You're not just uncomfortable, you're terrified of drinking, of the act itself. It doesn't make sense, and that's what makes it worse. You know you're thirsty, your mouth is dry as ash, your lips crack, but the moment you try to fix it, your body screams no. It's not a mental block, it's not nerves or bad dreams. This is biological treason. Somewhere deep inside, your nervous system has flipped a switch, And now, a cup of water might as well be a sword. You try milk, brother mead, anything liquid. All of it triggers the same violent reaction. Your throat slams shut like a trap. You panic. You heave. Nothing goes down. Nothing stays down. You begin to fear the sound of water, the sight of water. A bucket sloshing across the room makes your skin crawl. Congratulations, you've reached hydrophobia. It's a stupid name, really. It makes it sound like you just don't like water, like you're a cat or a spoiled noble who prefers wine. But this isn't a preference. This is terror, hardwired into your reflexes. It's not emotional, it's physical. Your body has decided that swallowing equals death. And every time you try to override that decision, your muscles clamp, your lungs rebel, and your brain scrambles in blind choking panic. This is one of Rabies' cruelest tricks. It makes you fear the very thing you need to survive. Not metaphorically, literally. Your body is drying out, your skin cracks, your tongue feels like sandpaper, but you can't drink. You can't even rinse your mouth. The sound of dripping water makes you flinch. The thought of swallowing sends waves of nausea through your chest. You're being dehydrated by your own reflexes, and you're aware of it the entire time. People start to notice. You try to hide it, but you're sweating constantly, twitching at nothing, avoiding the well like it's cursed. Someone offers you a ladle. You knock it away without thinking. It clatters to the ground and you stare at it like it just hissed at you. The other villagers exchange looks. One of them crosses themselves. Another mutters something about madness. The healer won't come back. The priest prays outside your door now, never stepping inside. You're trying to stay rational, but it's not working. The fear is taking over. You know this isn't normal, but that doesn't help. If anything, the knowledge makes it worse. You know something is wrong. Deeply, fatally wrong. And knowing doesn't fix it. It just gives you front row seats to your own breakdown. You feel like a marionette, your limbs twitching without cause. Your mouth fills with saliva constantly, thick, ropey, bitter. You try to spit discreetly, but soon it's too much. You're drooling like a beast. You don't leave your house anymore. You sit near the hearth, curled into yourself, watching the shadows stretch across the wall. You flinch every time the fire crackles. You haven't eaten in days, haven't slept properly in longer. When you close your eyes, your muscles jerk you awake. Your dreams are vivid, violent, full of snarling things and teeth. You wake up gasping, trying to scream but choking on your own spit. You're afraid to lie down. You might not get back up. You hear whispers through the door. The villagers are talking. They say you've gone mad, that you're cursed, that you'll start biting people soon. They're not wrong. You're starting to feel violent. Not in your thoughts. You still know who you are. But in your body. Your limbs jerk without warning. Your hands twitch like they want to grab something, break it. You rock back and forth to calm yourself. It doesn't help. Nothing helps. A child brings you a cup of water out of pity. You knock it over violently, shrieking before you can stop yourself. She runs. You don't blame her. You're not sure what just happened. The noise, the movement, it short-circuited something in you. For a second you weren't even you, just an instinct wrapped in skin. The worst part is you remember it, every second. You're not unconscious, you're present, a front row witness to your own unraveling. You're trying to hold on to yourself. You repeat your name, your prayers, anything to stay grounded. But it's slipping. Your mind is fraying. Your muscles don't listen anymore. Your mouth moves on its own. You find yourself muttering things, half words, growls. You chew on your own tongue until it bleeds. You don't know why. It just feels necessary. The taste of blood doesn't even register. And still you can't drink. You dream of rivers only to wake up choking. You see puddles and flinch. Someone spills water near your door, and you claw at the wall until your nails split. The fear is total now. It's not just about water. It's about everything. Sound, light, touch. Life itself feels unbearable. You're a bundle of nerves, all screaming at once. Every breath feels too loud. Every heartbeat is a countdown. You wonder how much longer this can last. And then you remember, rabies doesn't kill quickly. It starves, it dries, It burns you from the inside, and it hasn't even finished yet. At first, it's just names that slip. Familiar ones, your sister, your neighbour, the man who brings the grain cart through town every fortnight. You recognise the faces, sort of. You know you've seen them before. You remember the way they move or the sound of their voice, but the names won't come. You try to summon them, and what rises instead is static. Like your thoughts are being unravelled by some invisible hand, pulling the threads faster than you can tie them back together. You start babbling. Not nonsense exactly, but the words come out in the wrong order. Half sentences, jumbled thoughts. You try to say you're thirsty, and instead you say, river tongue. You try to ask someone to close the shutters, and you just point and hiss. People stare. You know they're staring. You know something is wrong, but you can't fix it. You're still in there, still you, but that you is slipping further back every hour, drowning under noise and fever. Then the shadows start to move, not dramatically, not with flickers or voices, just subtly. A shape shifts in the corner of your vision. A figure stands in the doorway, but when you look, there's no one there. You hear whispers that sound like your own thoughts, only wrong. Too loud, too sharp. You scream at them to stop. Sometimes, you scream just to hear your own voice. It reminds you that you're still here, that you're not gone yet, not completely. The priest finally comes, not the young one, he stopped visiting, but the old one, the one with the cracked hands and the heavy cross. He arrives with 2 assistants and a bucket of holy water, which you promptly kick over before anyone can explain why he's here. He mutters prayers, barely looking at you. He doesn't get too close. You're not sure if he's afraid of disease or demons, but either way, he's not planning on touching you. He sprinkles the water. You shriek. It burns, or it feels like it burns. It probably doesn't, but your throat spasms, and your hands claw at the air like you've been branded. The priest nods gravely and steps back satisfied. Possession, he says. The devil's madness. He prays louder. You slap your ears. It feels like the words are knives. You scream until you choke. You bite your own lip. And when the blood runs, you try to spit it out, but your jaw won't open properly anymore. Your neighbours avoid the house. They bring food sometimes, but leave it at the edge of the door, like it's an offering to a wild animal. They whisper that you're cursed, that you're always strange, that maybe your family had it coming. Superstition grows quickly when it's fed by fear, and you're terrifying now. Not because of what you've done, but because of what you might do. You've become a story before you've even died. Inside, your world is shrinking. You used to know the difference between day and night. Now, everything is just light and dark, then just blur. You lose time. Hours pass and you don't remember them. Sometimes, you wake up on the floor. Sometimes your bed is overturned, your clothes shredded, your fingernails bloodied from clawing at the door, or your own skin. You don't know what happened. You only know that it did. You start seeing people who aren't there. A child crouched in the corner, crying. A woman at the window, mouthing words you can't hear. You talk to them. You beg them for help. You try to explain what's happening to you, but your mouth won't shape the words right. You cry without sound. You laugh at nothing. You beat your fists against the walls, not to escape. There's nowhere to go, but just to feel real again. Your thoughts unravel like old wool. They tug loose one by one until all that's left are shapes and sounds, and panic. You remember your name most days. You remember pain and thirst, so much thirst. You remember that something inside you is wrong, deeply wrong, and that no one can fix it. You try to pray. You forget how. The words fall apart before they reach your tongue. You clutch your chest and whisper things that were never part of any sermon. Your muscles jerk randomly now. Your hands tremble constantly. You've stopped trying to drink, not just because of the spasms, but because the fear is too great. Your body won't let you. Even looking at a bucket of water sends your heart into chaos. You panic. You sob. And when no tears come, you panic more. You feel like you're rotting from the inside out. And the worst part is, you know, you're not unconscious. You're not delirious in the peaceful way people imagine. You're lucid. You're in a prison made of nerves and bone and viral sabotage, and you understand every second of it. Sometimes there's silence, no visions, no spasms, just quiet. You sit very still in the corner of your hut, staring at nothing. You don't move, you barely breathe. It's the calm between storms, and you know another one is coming. You can feel it, waiting in your spine, ready to strike. When it does, you won't remember the stillness. You won't remember anything except the screaming. You're still in there somewhere, a flicker of self buried under layers of panic and hallucination. But you're fading. Soon there will be only reactions. Fear, pain, rage. You'll snarl at anyone who enters the room. You'll snap your teeth at shadows. You'll claw at your own face just to make it stop. The virus has hijacked your brain, and it's rewriting the script with gleeful violence. Your family stops coming. You hear them outside sometimes. Whispers, arguments, someone crying. No one enters anymore. You're alone, which, in a way, is merciful. You can't hurt anyone from here, except yourself. You wish it would end, but rabies doesn't give you that mercy. It breaks you slowly, thought by thought, word by word, until all that's left is noise. Your body doesn't belong to you anymore. That much is clear. But up until now, it was still pretending, still going through the motions of being human, sort of. You could sit, speak, when the words behaved, recognize things most of the time. There were still moments where you felt like you, fractured, yes, shaky, but still in the room, still inhabiting the wreckage of your own mind. That's over now. It begins in your legs, a full-body spasm so sudden it lifts you off your bedding. You seize up, like a string pulled tight. Every muscle clenches in protest, like your own nervous system is trying to fold you in half. You hit the floor hard, your jaw slams shut with a crack. You taste blood. You try to scream, but nothing comes out except a garbled, wet sound, somewhere between a grunt and a sob. Then it happens again, and again. No warning, no pattern. Your arms twitch violently, your fingers curl into claws. Your back arches so sharply, it feels like your spine might snap. You kick, you claw, you strike the wall without meaning to. There is no rhythm, just chaos. Your limbs have gone feral. You are a puppet with strings tangled and jerking at random, and something else is holding the crossbar now. Your mouth doesn't work properly anymore. It hangs half open, jaw twitching, tongue swollen and sore from constant biting. You drool uncontrollably. Thick, ropey saliva pulls at your chin and drips down your chest. You try to wipe it, and your hand twitches halfway there before smacking you in the face instead. Your coordination is gone. Your dignity left days ago. What's left is a twitching, snarling mess of a body and a mind that's too conscious for comfort. You make noises you don't recognize, growls, grunts, sharp animal sounds that scrape your throat raw. You don't mean to make them. They just happen. Reflexive, primal. It's not just pain, it's instinct. You're afraid and your body responds the way an animal does. Bite, snap, flee, attack. There's no speech now, only the sounds of a creature backed into a corner. And you know, with a kind of cold, distant horror, that you are that creature. You snarl, you bite at the air. You've even started snapping at your own arms, your own legs, trying to gnaw the fear out of your own skin. Your teeth chatter when you're not clenching them. You catch your reflection in a bit of broken metal, not a mirror, but reflective enough. And for a moment, you don't know who it is. That's not a person. That's not you. That's something else. Something hollowed out and twitching, frothing at the mouth, wide-eyed and unblinking. The virus has reached its final destination, your brainstem, and it is doing exactly what it was built to do. Rabies doesn't just kill, it corrupts, it rewires, it turns the complex software of your mind into a glitchy, thrashing mess of panic and teeth. It hijacks the fear response and cranks it to maximum. It overrides the swallowing reflex. It destabilizes motor function. It tells your body to panic constantly, forever, with no escape hatch. You are not becoming an animal metaphorically. You're becoming one neurologically. Your limbic system, the primal part of your brain, is running the show now. Logic is gone. Language is gone. All that's left are signals and reflexes. Defend, lash out, hide, bite. You don't think in sentences anymore. You think in flashes, in raw, urgent impulses. You don't want water. You want to flee from it. You don't want comfort. You want silence, stillness, anything but this. Your muscles no longer rest. They twitch constantly, even in sleep. You're not really sleeping though, just blacking out between seizures. You wake up in new positions, sometimes curled up under the table, sometimes pressed into a corner, like you were trying to burrow through the wall. Everything hurts, your joints, your jaw, your throat. But it's not the pain that terrifies you. It's the loss of control. The knowledge that you're not driving anymore. That you're just a passenger now, watching from the back seat as your body spins off the road. The worst part, you're still lucid, at least in flashes. You know what's happening. You recognize the signs now. All those whispered stories, all those cursed villagers from long ago who went mad after a bite. You're becoming one of them. The monster people warn their children about. The thing that snarls and twitches and spits on the floor until someone locks it away and forgets it existed. The rabid one? There's talk of chaining you up. You hear it through the walls. You've already been shut inside your hut, the door barred from the outside. A few brave souls peer through the cracks, watching you shudder and snarl and smack your head against the floor. You make eye contact with one of them. You think you recognize her. She gasps and steps back. You were someone to her once. Now you're just a warning. You start to bite at the wood. Not out of hunger. You can't eat anymore, but out of instinct. You need something between your teeth, something to grind. You chew splinters until your gums bleed. You growl at your own reflection in the water bowl you still can't touch. You spit at voices. You scream when the light changes. You forget what day it is, what your name is, what people are. The virus is peeling away your identity, like bark from a rotting tree. You've become what it wanted, a vessel, a frothing, twitching, fear-driven delivery system that can't help but spread chaos if it ever escapes. You won't escape. They'll see to that, but it doesn't matter now. You've served your purpose. The virus has run its course. It has taken you apart, piece by piece, and left just enough awareness for you to feel the full weight of your deconstruction. You're not human anymore. You're a malfunctioning puppet with teeth, and the strings are starting to snap. Eventually, they stop trying to help you. There's no more talk of prayers or poultices, no more hopeful glances or whispered reassurances. They've seen enough to understand what's coming, or at least to fear it. You're not their loved one anymore. You're a threat, a problem to be managed. So they do the only thing they know how to do. They isolate you. One morning, or maybe it's night, time doesn't mean much anymore. They open the door, throw in some food you can't eat, and drag you out by the arms. You thrash, twitch, spit. They flinch. Two of them hold you down, while another fastens a rope around your waist, tying it to the wooden support beam in the shed behind your home. You're too weak to break free, too contorted to stand properly. The floor is dirt, cold, and uneven. The walls are thin, barely more than splintered boards and gaps that let in the wind. The door slams shut. You hear the latch. And just like that, you're alone. The shed is barely taller than you are. It smells of mold and rotting hay. Rats live here. Maybe you do too now. You sit hunched over, drooling into your lap, your body jerking with every wave of panic. The rope tugs against your ribs when you move too fast. You scream. It doesn't help. No one comes. Your family leaves food outside the door. Usually, a piece of bread or a cup of something you can't drink. They stop speaking to you through the wood. The last time someone tried, you lunged at the sound and hit the wall so hard you cracked your lip open. Now they just listen to the screams, to the thrashing, to the long periods of silence that might be worse. You've become a noise they try not to hear, a guilt they've wrapped in wood and distance. Even the healer won't come anymore. She sends word through someone else. There's nothing she can do. She suggests prayer and isolation. Perhaps a burial afterward, if the corpse is still intact. The priest offers absolution, from a distance. He stands outside, mutters a few lines from the Psalms, and then scurries away before you can get close to the slats. You're not a person anymore. You're a contaminated object, a cursed relic with teeth. You scream for hours, sometimes from pain, sometimes from thirst, mostly because it's the only thing left. It's primal and awful, and it rips your throat raw. The screams are guttural, ragged, too low to sound human. Your vocal cords stretch and strain until your voice is little more than a hoarse rasp. You scream until you black out. Then you wake up and scream again. Eventually the screaming stops, not because you've recovered, because your throat gives out. You open your mouth and nothing comes out but a dry wheeze. Your chest burns with every breath. The air feels thick, like trying to inhale smoke. Your jaw aches. You try to speak, just one word. Your name maybe, and all that emerges is a clicking sound, followed by more drool. You've started biting the rope, not for escape. You couldn't get far even if you broke free. Your legs barely work, but the biting helps. It gives your jaw something to do, something to grind against while your body shakes, and your mind flips between flashes of memory and flashes of nothing. You're not sure which is worse, the spasms or the blank spots between them. Either way, the rope is fraying. You gnaw through one layer, then another. Your teeth ache, but you keep going. No one enters the shed. They slide your food through a gap or toss it onto the floor. You lunge at it once. They don't bring it again for a while. You don't care. You can't eat anyway. Your throat's too tight, your mouth too full of foam. You try to lap water from a puddle during a brief moment of clarity, and your body convulses so hard, you vomit nothing. You claw at your face. You bash your head against the post until stars explode behind your eyes. Time fractures. Some days pass in moments, others stretch forever. You hallucinate vividly. Memories twisted into nightmares, visions of animals in the corners, people speaking in tongues that aren't languages. You see your mother. You try to speak to her. She turns into the dog. You scream again. Your fingernails are broken. Your skin is raw. You've chewed the inside of your cheeks bloody. You don't know when you last slept. The light that comes through the slats is either too bright or not there at all. Sometimes you hear voices. Sometimes they're real. You can't tell anymore. Someone says your name and you respond by slamming your face into the wall. You don't want to hurt anyone. You still know that, somewhere deep down. But your body has other plans. The spasms come faster now. Shorter pauses between them. More violence, less warning. Your legs kick out without permission. Your arms twist behind your back. You bash your head against the beam in a frenzy. You think you're trying to knock yourself unconscious. It doesn't work. You keep waking up. They've started keeping animals away from the shed. You hear them mention it. One of the goats got too close, and you lunged at it. You don't remember that part, but you believe it. You don't even trust yourself anymore. The part of you that thinks, that reasons, that used to want to survive, it's still in there, but it's buried deep beneath layers of reflex and madness. You're no longer just sick, you're dangerous. You've become the thing everyone's always feared, a rabid creature, unpredictable and violent. And still no one can bring themselves to end it. They're hoping it will end on its own, that you'll stop breathing soon, that your body will give out before something worse happens. They don't want to kill you, not out of kindness, out of fear. Fear of what it means to strike down someone who used to be family. Fear of touching you. Fear of what might come out when the body finally breaks. You don't blame them. You wouldn't come near you either. The worst part is that you know what's happening. You're not unconscious. You're not in a coma. You're not blissfully unaware as your body tears itself apart. You're still here, inside your skull, watching the walls close in. The world outside is muffled and distant now, but the world inside, the one that hurts and burns and spasms, is louder than ever. You are a dying mind in a malfunctioning machine, and you're painfully aware of every moment. Your lungs feel too small, like you're breathing through a reed, each breath tighter than the last. You can't get enough air. It's not that you're choking on anything. There's no obstruction. It's just your brain has started sending the wrong signals. or none at all. Your diaphragm seizes at random, squeezing your chest in waves. You gasp, wheeze, and still feel like you're drowning. Your heart beats like it's trying to escape your ribcage, slamming against the bone, skipping and stuttering like a drum played by someone drunk and blind. And all the while, your thoughts race, not in words anymore, not in full sentences, just flashes, feelings, memories, warnings. You want it to stop. You want silence. You want stillness. But every second is another jolt, another wave of panic, another round of twitching limbs and boiling skin. You sweat constantly, even when it's cold. The sweat burns, it stinks. Your body is cooking itself from the inside while your mind flails in a cage with no doors. There is no comfort, no cool cloth for your forehead, no gentle hand to hold, no reassuring voice whispering that it will be over soon. Your family has stopped coming. Your neighbours won't speak your name. Even the priest has gone quiet. You are the village's nightmare now, locked away and slowly forgotten, except in hushed warnings and wide-eyed glances toward the shed. No one wants to remember that you're still in there, still breathing, still screaming. You used to fear death. Now you wait for it like a release, not because you want to die. You just don't want to keep being this. There is no dignity left. You're curled on the floor, drooling, twitching, muttering nonsense, too weak to move, but too aware to rest. You barely sleep. When you do, the dreams are vivid and cruel. Drowning in shallow water, being hunted by dogs, gnawing on your own limbs, while people laugh from just out of reach. You wake up gasping and pray for blackout. It doesn't come. You've lost track of time completely. Days, nights, they all blur together now. The light that filters in through the gaps in the wall shifts occasionally, but you don't know what that means anymore. You stopped marking days when you realized you wouldn't survive enough of them to make it worth counting. You don't remember how long it's been since the bite. It could be weeks, it could be months, it could be forever. Your muscles are deteriorating. You've stopped thrashing, not because the spasms have ended, but because you're too exhausted to respond to them. Your body jerks without moving, a tremble in the fingers, a spasm in the leg, a brief arch of your back before it collapses again, like a broken bridge. Your jaw's locked in place more often than not now. When you try to speak, nothing comes out but wet clicking sounds and breathless grunts. Your lips bleed from being bitten. Your tongue is swollen and dry. You see things, shapes, lights, shadows moving in places they shouldn't. Sometimes they speak. You try to listen, but the words are backward, jumbled, impossible. You hear your name in a voice that sounds like your mother's. You cry out. No one answers. You see faces in the wall. You see the dog again. Its eyes are bigger now, its teeth longer. You remember the moment it bit you, not as a memory, but as a loop, playing over and over. The crunch, the heat, the panic. You try to hold on to anything real, a sound, a smell, a memory, but they all blur together. Your childhood collapses into yesterday. Your last meal might as well have been a year ago. You think about things that don't make sense, songs you never learned, prayers you never finished, faces you can't name but miss all the same. You start to forget what your own voice sounds like, what silence sounds like. You begin to hallucinate pain that isn't even there. Phantom itches, burning fingers, stabbing heat in your spine. You scream, but it's a hoarse, broken noise now, less a cry than a whisper of agony. You claw at the floor, at your own skin. Your nails have worn down to jagged stubs. Your hands are caked in blood, mud and foam. You can't remember the last time you were clean, or fed, or touched by someone who wasn't terrified of you. And still, you know what's happening. Your mind hasn't given up. Not completely. There's a sliver of awareness left, and it's the cruelest gift of all. You know what's killing you. You know how it works. You remember when the dog bit you. You remember the hope, the waiting, the fever, the water, the panic. You know that your body has become a battlefield, and you've already lost. You've heard that dying can be peaceful, that the end, quiet. But rabies doesn't give you that. It drags it out. It prolongs the fear. You are not fading gently. You are clinging to the edge of consciousness with bloody fingers, while your body shuts itself down in slow, painful stages. There is no morphine, no soft bed, no final words, only the long, suffocating crawl towards stillness, and the unbearable clarity of knowing you're on that path. This is what Rabies does, not all at once, not with drama, but inch by inch, twitch by twitch, breath by choking breath. You are still alive, but not for long, and that knowledge will haunt you until your last, ragged gasp. There is no warning, no ominous bell tolling, no final breath that leaves you gently. When death comes, it doesn't knock. It kicks in the door and tears down the walls on its way through. It begins with your chest, not a sharp pain, not this time, just a deep, crushing weight that spreads like iron being poured into your lungs. You try to inhale and nothing moves. You try again, harder. Your chest rises, but the air doesn't come. Your diaphragm spasms violently, like it's trying to wrench itself free from your body. You wheeze, sputter, gag, but there's no relief, just pressure, just panic, just the increasing certainty that you're no longer capable of something as basic, as essential, as breathing. You claw at your throat, at your chest, at the rope still half wrapped around your waist, as if undoing any of those will fix what's happening inside you. They won't. The damage is already done. The virus has finished its work. Your nerves are misfiring so badly now that your body is fighting itself. A frantic electrical storm with no escape route. Your lungs want to fill, but your throat slams shut. Your muscles twitch, then lock. You open your mouth in desperation and emit only a guttural, airless rasp. You fall sideways. Or maybe you're already on the ground. You've spent so much time there, it's hard to say. Your vision pulses with black at the edges, narrowing like a tunnel. Light seems to bend, and sound is distant, warped, fading in and out, like someone's turning the world's volume dial at random. You can feel your heart still pounding, but it's erratic now, sloppy, like it's forgetting what rhythm feels like. Your mouth is full of foam. You try to spit but can't. You try to swallow but can't. It leaks from your lips in sticky ropes flecked with blood and bile. Your eyes roll upward without permission. You try to blink but your eyelids won't obey. You can see the rafters of the shed above you, but they're fuzzy, like they're underwater. The floor smells like rot and straw. And you are soaked in sweat, in urine, in whatever fluids your body has stopped bothering to manage properly. You want to scream. Not in pain, though that's still there, clawing through your chest, but in panic, in helpless, suffocating terror, because you're still awake, still aware. Your brain is one of the last things left intact, and it's now forced to experience your body shutting down, from the inside, piece by piece, like the slow collapse of a poorly built roof. Your fingers curl inward, your toes splay, your spine arches in a grotesque, wrenching spasm, pulling you into a half circle against the floor. You seize once, twice, again. Every muscle fires at once, then freezes. Your jaw clenches so hard, you hear something crack. It might be your teeth. Your arms beat against the floorboards in short, twitching bursts. If anyone is outside the shed, they don't come. They haven't for days. They don't want to see this. They don't want to hear what you sound like in your final moments. You bite your tongue. Hard, blood pools in your mouth, hot and metallic. It drips down your chin, mixing with the foam, painting the floor beneath your face. You try to lift your head, but your neck locks up. You twitch again. A violent whole-body jolt that leaves you sprawled awkwardly, limbs tangled and eyes wide. You think you hear someone outside, but it could just be the wind. There's a moment, just one, where everything seems to pause. Your heart flutters once more, then weakens. Your lungs spasm again. A pathetic, half-formed breath shudders through your throat. More reflex than function. Your chest jerks, then stills. You're not breathing. You know you're not breathing. You feel your mind scream at your body to fix it, to do something, to take in just one more gasp. But the message goes nowhere. The nerves are shot. The muscles don't answer. The reflex is gone. What's left is silence, tight, crushing, unforgiving. You are wide-eyed, awake, still conscious enough to feel your own suffocation. You don't black out right away. The lack of oxygen doesn't bring peace, it brings confusion, panic. Your thoughts scatter like crows in a storm. You see flashes of faces, places, the dog again, the woods, a bowl of water you never drank, a fire, a child crying. None of it makes sense anymore. Nothing connects. The memories are broken shards rattling in your skull, each one cutting deeper as the light dims. And still you wait. Not for rescue, not for relief, just for the end. It doesn't come quickly. Rabies is efficient, but death isn't always punctual. Your body twitches long after the brain has stopped making sense. You gasp once more, mouth open, eyes unfocused, foam crusting at the corners of your lips. Your limbs go still. Then finally, your chest stops heaving. Your jaw hangs slack. Your gaze fixes on something no one else can see. You die. Not peacefully. Not in your sleep. Not surrounded by family or wrapped in clean sheets with someone holding your hand. You die foaming, twitching, twisted on the floor of a rotting shed. Your face frozen in a final expression of confusion and fear. No one rushes to find you. No one touches your body right away. They'll wait, days maybe, until the smell makes waiting impossible. Even then, they'll be careful. They've heard the stories, that the madness lingers, that the bite stays active, that the curse doesn't end with death. Whether it's superstition or simple fear, the result is the same. No one will want to bury you. They'll cover your body in cloth and drag it outside. They'll dig a shallow grave somewhere away from the village, where animals won't be tempted to dig you up and children won't stumble across the site by accident. No marker, no cross, just earth quickly shoveled and quickly forgotten. Because even in death you are a warning, and warnings don't get funerals. And yet, even after you're gone, your story doesn't end. Not entirely. The village doesn't speak your name loudly, but it lingers, in murmurs, in cautionary tales told by candlelight. Children are warned not to pet strange dogs. Travellers are told not to sleep near animals that snarl in the dark. People glance at the old shed with unease, even after it's burned to the ground, as if the madness might have seeped into the wood. They don't say you died of rabies, they don't have the word yet. To them, you died of possession or punishment, or maybe just the curse that follows bad luck and open wounds. You are remembered not for who you were, but for what you became. The snarling voice in the night, the drooling figure chained to a post, the body that had to be buried at a distance because no one could stand to look at it. You've become folklore now, an example, a lesson, the kind people nod solemnly about, and then promptly forget when the next bite comes. And there will be another bite, because the truth is no one really learns, not for generations. The rituals will return, the hot irons, the herbs, the charms whispered over bubbling skin. More screaming, more isolation, more shallow graves. Centuries pass before anyone connects the dots. Before someone names the virus, describes it, studies it, tries to stop it. Long after your bones have faded into the soil, a scientist will see a body like yours, writhing, foaming, afraid of water, and begin to understand. They'll give it a name, rabies. They'll find the virus in brain tissue, see it under a microscope, bullet-shaped, precise, ancient. They'll realize it doesn't just infect animals, it weaponizes them. It turns warm, breathing things into messengers of death. And then finally, they'll try to fight it. Vaccines, post-exposure treatments, laws to quarantine infected animals. It will take centuries. It will save millions. But none of that matters to you. You were too early, too broken, too alone. Still you were part of the story, a grim chapter, a human footnote in the long, brutal history of a virus that does not care what you are, only that you breathe and bleed and have a nervous system to hijack. Your death will not be honoured. It will not be mourned, but it will be remembered, not as a person, but as proof. Proof that fear can have form, that madness can have structure, that horror sometimes has a heartbeat. You are the evidence no one wanted, the warning no one understood, the beast they buried to forget, and eventually to finally name.
A nie, ale jakie batty na sztepie.
Nema veze, rekordovanje. Ne, nije! Jest. Da, smiley trebam. Još jedan lik umre tu kod mene. Ja sam tu u nekoj ruku.
Thank